Hey guys, and welcome to Tantrum House. I'm Will Meadows.
And I'm Sara Meadows.
Today we're going to look at the game For the Birds. For the Birds is an abstract strategy game for 2 to 6 players, and it's from Breaking Games.
In the game, players are given 6 bird tokens that are pretty cute, and their goal is to get 4 of their tokens in a row or in a square.
On their turn, players will roll a set of dice. They will then place their bird figurine on the board according to the numbers that they've rolled, a little bit like sequence, except that players can use either order for their die. So they could put, if they rolled a 2 and a 5, they could lay their bird on a 25 or on the 52.
There are also other tokens in the game that are a hawk and crows. The hawks will be placed on the board whenever somebody rolls that specific symbol on the brown die. And when it is placed, it goes on a red dot, and no bird can be near the hawk. The 4 spaces around it are vacant.
It actually displaces them to other places on the board. There are also crow tokens which come out in the same manner when they're rolled on the black die, and they cause a single bird to be bumped if they're on that space, or they just take up a spot on the board.
Yeah, this can affect your strategy in blocking other players or having to move them out of your space.
On your turn, when you roll your die, if the spot that your bird would go on is already taken, then the other option you have in the game, and you always have this option, is to play a card. Players have a small hand of cards that they can use throughout the game, and they allow them to do things like move the crows or move their own birds a secret number of spaces. Usually this is the key to victory, as you're trying to line up those birds, and on your turn, you play that card and you're able to move the spaces necessary to move your birds and ultimately win the game.
Yeah, there's a decent amount of strategy in how you play your cards, as the only way that you're allowed to re-pick up a card is if you roll doubles, which doesn't happen as often as you think it would.
So I think that covers the majority of the gameplay, but tell us a little bit about those mechanics.
Well, when you play with a smaller player count, you're actually going to only use the inner portion of the board. The tree is set up in a grid with numbers 1 to 99, and you will eliminate the very outside numbers. But when you do the smaller player count, you will use a set of D8s instead of D10s, and there isn't 1s and 9s on the die, so you won't ever roll those. So I think it was very clever the way they set up the board that way, so that when you have a smaller player count, it becomes very tight in where you can place your birds.
Thematically, the game is very sharp looking. I love the art style. It's kind of like a simple representational, maybe like somebody suggested it was maybe kind of Native American or something. I don't know. It looks cool. It looks very natural. I love the muted color scheme that they use.
Yeah, I do too.
We did run into a little bit of issue with one of our players who's colorblind, and I think he did okay, but he definitely commented on...
Well, actually, he won, but...
Yeah, he definitely did okay. But he did have trouble like determining which one was black and which one was blue. They all look a little bit too similar. The tree is pretty cool that they were able to get the grid on there. I think it looks really sharp. The instructions were written well. Theme-wise, definite A+. What do you think of the replayability?
I think it's very replayable in the higher player counts. We played with 2 players, just the 2 of us, and we realized that towards the end of the game, it became obvious who was going to win. And you have to really think ahead and plan on what you're going to do on your turn, and be careful how you use your cards, because it's harder to pick them back up.
Yeah, there is some planning that goes into it, but it's obviously dice as well. So there's some luck, but there's some definite. The only downside to the 2-player was that it was obvious. Like, I could tell, oh, as long as she doesn't roll this one number combination, I'm going to win on my next turn. With 4 players, it was, I think, more enjoyable to talk about the enjoyability. There was a lot more going on the board, a lot more to keep track of, a lot more opportunity for you to like use that hawk or crow and just ruin somebody else's day, which was fun. Yeah, I think it was the type of game that it plays fast enough. It was probably only like a 15, 30 minute, maybe 40 minute game, even with 4 players. So I think you can pull it out pretty quick and play it. Once all the pieces are set up, first time around it'll take you a little while to assemble all the birds, but after that it's a quick setup because you're just starting rolling. And it's really quick and easy to jump into. We enjoyed it a lot. Tantrum House gives For the Birds 2 thumbs up.